Welcome to the UDC David A. Clarke School of Law's Service Learning Trip 2014. That's us, our Mississippi Center for Justice groups. That's the Jackson team. And that's the Greenville team. Our trip begins with our flight out of Reagan. We're all brimming with excitement as we anticipate our week in Mississippi. Hey, Fred. Our first evening was spent at Hal and Mal's restaurant in downtown Jackson. We had the great opportunity to meet our Professor Britton's mentor and longtime civil rights activist, and his wife, Rims and Judy Barber. What an amazing couple they were.
I almost brought a camera on them.
For many of us students, the first stop on our civil rights tour would have a great impact. Visiting the home of civil rights activist Medgar Evers.
The tour guide shot came right from over there where you see those big fir trees. And killed him right there in that carport as he was reaching his trunk to get out the flyer. Minnie's ready.
I think we all felt a sense of great privilege to stand on the property and visit the home of one of the civil rights' greatest activists. All the while taking in the cruel reality that his life was cut short right in that carport by an act of hate.
Southern trees bear a strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the root, black bodies swinging in the southern breeze, strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees.
Because of the incessant threats made against him and his family, Medgar Evers took drastic preventive measures in an effort to keep his family safe. This even meant making changes to his home plans.
Selected this particular lot when he came in. He said because there was a house on the right and one was on the left, I felt we would be a little safer if we placed ours between the two. And he asked them to make some changes for them. On the east walls where the bedrooms are, he said make the windows higher. Don't give me a front door for this area. He said, because I'm going to teach my family that when we come into the driveway, we always going to get out of the car on the passenger side. That way we'll use the wall in the car as a means of protection.
In the refrigerator, indentations of hate and a lasting reminder of that tragic day. Our next stop would take us up the road to my hometown, Yazoo City, Mississippi, also known as the gateway to the Delta. We stopped for lunch at Ubon's, home of the best tasting Blue Ribbon barbecue this side of the Mason-Dixon. We literally left our marks there. U-Bonds won't soon forget the students of UDC Law. While there, we shared our reflections of our visit to Medgar Evers' home, ate and fellowship, we even found out that my local hometown paper had our law school group as their featured article. Our next stop was in Mound Bayou, Mississippi. Mound Bayou was the first independent black community founded in 1887 by former slaves.
When he came in, is the oldest all-black founded town in the country, founded by former slaves. And it used to be, it's sad now.
We moved on down the road to Marigold, Mississippi to visit Po' Monkey's Juke Joint. Although Po' Monkey's was established in 1961, it's considered to be one of the last original juke joints in the South. Traditionally, juke joints were places farm workers could relax, drink beer, and listen to music. Next up was Dockery Farms, established in 1895 to produce cotton. African Americans who worked there created a culture that inspired the blues. We next visited Ruleville, Mississippi, and the site of the Fannie Lou Hamer Memorial Garden. Miss Hamer was a woman of strength, courage, and vision. She was a warrior for truth and justice. Her work as a grassroots civil rights activist and political organizer brought national attention to the stark reality of the political disenfranchisement of black people in America. We then traveled to LaFleur County, location of the Tallahatchie River and the recovery site of the body of 14-year-old Emmett Till.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, and just like the river I've been.
The young man was brutally murdered for reportedly flirting with a white woman in 1955 Mississippi.
A long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die.
Because we are 30 miles away from where the incident occurred.
Wow.
So they purposely brought the body up here to leave a message to the community, because this was a black community then, just as it is now, to say, you know, we're putting this kid's body here. They didn't know that it was going to become the catalyst of the civil rights movement, you know. They had no clue at all. But just to kind of give you that idea, and this is the Tallahatchie River, you know, right along here. And so they dumped his body in over here, and then a fisherman found it, and as the story says, you know, it was even more gruesome because he had a cotton gin fan tied around his neck with a barbed wire on his neck, and you know the story about his mom and, you know, insisting the open casket, and then we had the civil rights movement kind of sparked, you know, Rosa Parks cited Emmett Till, you know, as kind of the catalyst for why she did what she did.
Then I go to my brother and I say, brother, help me please. But he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. Oh, there've been times that I thought I could love.
From there, we visited Bryant's Grocery in Money, Mississippi, the location where the unfortunate chain of events transpired.
It's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh, yes it will.
I was saying in my car, like, I think this is not only one of the most important civil rights landmarks, but American history landmarks, you know, because with the incident that occurred here with Carolyn Bryant and Emmett Till changed the course of history in our country and make it world, you know. And we were also talking in my car, and not that it even matters, but there's a lot of controversy over what happened here. So, did he whistle at Carolyn Bryant? Was he stuttering? Was he whistling? And you know, obviously it's irrelevant because he didn't deserve to die. He didn't deserve to die.
We ended our day on a celebratory note by surprising our Professor Britton on his birthday. The Mississippi Center for Justice attorneys and staff organized the event, and it was hosted by Professor Britton's longtime friend and civil rights activist attorney in his own right, Mr. Victor McTeer.
Do all that you can.
Our gift to Professor Britton? A Scales of Justice bow tie presented on behalf of the 2014 class.
For Dapper Professor John Britton, happy 70th birthday and many, many more. Respectfully, the 2014 UDC David Clarke School of Law Service Learning, Mississippi, Arizona. Thank you. 20 years. Come around like this all the time, and just come down through here, through the middle, and just come here, and just, we got a child now, and always teaching, and just lift it up.
This is from your loving service learning faculty members who have been conspiring with the Mississippi Center for Justice for weeks about this.
was so
You kept
nice.
asking me, where are we having dinner?
70, 70, yes I did. Here's to 70 years of good memories and great adventures to a wide circle of family and friends, to dreams and accomplishments, and all the hard work in between. Happy birthday, your college. Well, thank you very much. That's so nice of you. And thank you to everyone, to the hosts, to the good people of Mississippi, and to all the students and any other friends here today. You really got me by surprise, and it certainly crushed this moment. But thank you very much.
Let's give him a round.
Yeah.
From there, our groups parted ways to begin our individual teamwork at the Mississippi Centers for Justice offices in Jackson and Indianola. We worked, and we definitely enjoyed great Southern cuisine during lunchtime. We visited downtown sites like the Mississippi Department of Archives, which is located next door to the future home of Mississippi Civil Rights Museum. We ate dinner at the historic Mayflower Cafe, downtown Jackson, where they filmed scenes from the movie The Help. The next day, we visited downtown, historic Jackson, Mississippi, and famous Ferris Street. The city's ultimate goal is to revitalize this area and showcase its historic landmarks.
There in Mississippi.
Next up, we strolled through the campus of HBCU, Jackson State University. There, we visited Alexander Hall, the site where students were injured and killed when police opened fire on them. The students were protesting the Vietnam War, specifically the United States invasion of Cambodia.
They were protesting white harassment of neighboring people, and they were protesting the murders at Kent State, which happened like a few days before, when students were protesting against the war in Vietnam. But this was so totally overshadowed by Kent State that it was you know, for those of us who weren't students for Democratic Society back then, understood the racism that was driving that media that was covering Kent State, as it should have been covered. But then ignoring this only a few days later was really, as you say, crazy.
One of our fellow students, Natasha Hudgens, along with other classmates, decided to eat lunch at Jackson's famous Brent's drugstore. In a classic setting, they were hoping to experience the soda fountain days of yesteryear. What occurred there for Natasha, however, was eerily reminiscent of the segregation experience when she waited an excessive amount of time to place her order. Mississippi? Did you?
It was sort of like that,
Did you
imagining myself in that position and what it must have been like, because I felt uncomfortable just with, you know, the slight racism, not even the overt things that they had to deal with.
Right.
So it was just a humbling experience for me because I can't even imagine everything they went through.
We're starving.
Sorry.
She was asking me. What was the question?
So just even thinking about it, because you know it and you see it, but even experiencing it in a slight way just kind of overwhelmed me somewhat. And so I couldn't really, like, we had some conversation obviously at our table and everything, and, you know, that was good, but it was just in the back of my mind, I couldn't even fully connect with the conversation that was happening at the table, because I was sitting there like, you know, here we are in 2014 and you still can't just, you know, eat comfortably at a plate.
At the end of the week, our group reunited and visited my alma mater, Tougaloo College. Founded in 1869, Tougaloo is a private liberal arts, historically black college and was the primary center of activity of the civil rights movement in Mississippi. A most exciting moment for us would be our meeting guest speaker, Mr. Hollis Watkins, an activist and participant in Mississippi's civil rights movement during the 1960s. His life stories were simply impactful.
If you were a man, you never, and black, you never got to be considered a man, or called a man. You were called a boy until you got a certain age, and then you became their uncle. Never a man. I can remember once it was hard for me to restrain myself. And my father, my older brother, was working for this white man, and he said to him one day, he says, "Boys, I got somebody I want y'all to meet." I just kind of looked at him. And he went in the house and he came back with the little boy that was about 6 or 7 years old at the most. He said, "Boys, I want y'all to meet Mr. James Apple." Let's talk about his grandson. You know, that was hard for me to take. We didn't have the proper media that we needed for the world to see exactly what was going on in Mississippi. Most of the time we didn't have any media at all. So some of us felt that we should bring as many people down to Mississippi as we possibly can from the north, with a lot of them being white. And we figured that the white middle class, the parents would be watching their children, same with blacks. And they would be able to get the media involved in this so Mississippi could be opened up to the rest of the country. Ain't scared of nobody, 'cause I want my freedom, I want my freedom, I want my freedom. Ain't scared of nobody, 'cause I want my freedom, I want my freedom now.
Overall, service learning provided us opportunities to work, to eat, to play, and forge friendships and a bond of service to others.
Make me feel so good. Make me feel so good. Make me feel so good now, yeah. Make me feel so good. Oh, baby. Make me feel so good. 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 Make me feel so good.
The Dalai Lama best sums up this course. Human beings naturally pursue their own interests. However, self-centeredness is very limiting. When you're concerned about others, bullying and exploitation cease. There are two levels of compassion. One, a biological instinct. The other, the result of awareness. Just wishing to be compassionate or saying that God or the Buddha wants us to be compassionate is not very effective. What we need is education and training. This is the true meaning of service learning.
Feel all right now, yeah. Feel all right. Feel all right.